Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, it's been a while since we've been live here with Open Wheelers on a Monday night or even a Wednesday night as it was last season for the Formula 3s. Now, it's going to be the things that don't have wings chance to push themselves out on track and for the drivers to all showcase their skill set. And guess what? We're coming to you live from Winton, and it comes with a case of Victorian weather. Ladies and gentlemen, the first round of the Australian Formula Ford Australia E-Series from Winton Motor Raceway. It's wet and it's fun. We are qualifying right now in mixed conditions. Track started off wet. There was a lot of rain that come dumping down about halfway through practice. Track is now drying. It's going to be a really, really interesting night at the office. I am, of course, Scotty Rankin off alongside of Dave Roberts at the moment, who is just handling something in the background, and Jay Kennedy behind the screen pushing all the buttons and getting us as many drops of moisture as he possibly can on all the camera work tonight. That's what we're looking at. Formula Fords, though, and the way that they go about their racing. No wing on the front end, no wing on the rear end. That's right. It's going to be all about getting some mechanical grip pressed in. We're kicking off with the sport class here this evening. Fixed setup for these guys pre-qualifying last night, but now it's going to be down to that Victorian weather. It's a little bit cold down in this section of the world, and this is how about they go about making their power. 116 brake horsepower is only 500 kilograms of racing machine plus driver. 4-speed gearbox as well, 13-inch tires, and the big old 1.6 litre Ford Kent engine. It's a formula that's loved right the world over. And it does feel a little bit as if we've been around to Britain. That's such is the track out there this evening. Like I said, 30 minutes worth of racing action, 4 laps solo qualifying, and a 30-car field for our sport class. Then we'll throw it over to the pro guys. And I can tell you there's rivers running across the track in a couple of key areas that are going to be really, really tricky to handle. Where is Winton Motor Raceway? Well, if you don't know where Winton Motor Raceway is and you're in Australia, well, might start to ask a few questions of you, but here it is. It's actually my closest raceway as it is to the SimSpeed HQ from Bendigo. So it's just down here in Victoria. I got to go here a couple months ago and actually see Formula Fords in action. Wasn't wet on that occasion. That'll change a few things up. It's a racetrack that is known for its tightness, the narrowness, a little bit of a goat track in the way that it goes about things. The S's at 1 and 2 are going to be a lot more difficult tonight with the moisture in the air. Then it's the run down to 3, and I can tell you there's a little river that you got to cross halfway through the exit of turn 2. Then you got to cross another one between 3 and 4, down through the sweeper. The sweeper is about placing that car perfectly. If you can't pick up where the dry line is, you're going to be offline. It's going to be very, very difficult to get an overtake done. Lots of mistakes. That's what it's going to be about, and testing where the performance is. Then you've got to come down through 7, 8, and 9. The switchback, it's really, really difficult to get right. And again, another amount of water across the road between 9 and 10. 11 and 12, there is puddles just about everywhere down there as well. So dodging those puddles, not the easiest thing that you're going to have to do tonight. Qualifying, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, about 1 minute left in the session as it currently stands for our 3 kilometers worth of racetrack, 12 turns from Winton Motor Raceway, and non-changeable tires for interchangeable conditions. The cut's slick on the Formula Ford as well. That's what it looks like out in the server at the moment. You can see that spray coming off the rear wheels there is quite important. 19 degrees air temperature, 17 degrees in terms of the track temperature. Wind quite blowy at the moment, which might be allowing for some of the issues that drivers are having that aren't water related. but 93% humidity, and you'll see it when you actually get some driving on boards. There is a distinctive dry and wet line. And something else I've just noticed is actually Gustavo Cirillo, who's in the server at the moment. He's making a pit lane entry. Well, what's the one place on track that barely gets driven through all race? It's the pit lane entry and exit. That is going to be the most treacherous part of the racetrack to navigate. And you got to get into your pit stall and get a splash of fuel at it. Yeah, going to be a difficult set of conditions, and remember that for these drivers as well, in the sports class, fixed setups, which means the only thing they can adjust is the brake bias. What does the front row look like? Well, Benjamin Roberts was in the pro class last season for the Formula 3 Australia. In the Super Formula Lights class, he will start on the front row. Off alongside of him will be Tyson Hanmer for the Vermilion Motorsports outfit. On row number 2, it's going to be Mitchell Albert off alongside of Timothy Harris, and row number 3 will jump back to when we've got Ian Zhu and Jackson Austin off row number 3. As I've just been informed, we've been joined by Dave Roberts as well. Nathan Verney and Ross Hansen are going to make up row number 4, and row number 5, David Baz, you'd also recognise him from Formula 3 Australia last season. Gustavo Cirillo off alongside of him. Dean Williams and Chris Barnes on row number 6, Nathan Favero and Dennis Hawkins row number 7, Martin Lipsky and Tyler Blackburn. Blackburn had a good night in Scops last night out. Formula 4's not doing him so well. Scott Harvey and Lam Nguyen off row number 9, and Daniel Boswell and Adrian Gretsch off of row number 10. Then we get back to Ronald Long and Sean McKenzie on row number 11. It's going to be Jason Depp and Matthew Bakir on row number 12. Row number 13 is going to be Mark Bowman and Michael Gillespie. Stephen Casitas is going to be, sorry, my apologies. Yeah, Stephen Casitas off alongside of Kurt Bond in row number 14. Then we get the drivers who failed to set a qualifying time, and there are a few of them from the back end of the field. Right. And of course, the new Ford safety car. There was a little bit of a debate about what safety car to use, Dave Roberts, if you can hear me. And ultimately, Formula Ford class, there's only one car that's even a valid option, I think.
You can hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you, Dave.
I'm back. I'm back. He's back. I was waiting for you to breathe, actually.
Doesn't happen all that often. You got to get your shares in while you can. But yeah, look, I mean, you know, these little cars, these little changeable conditions, this is tough and tricky, as is a run down to turn number 1 on cold tyres on a cut slick.
Well, it's not really a cut slick. It's actually designed to have a tread. So it is a treaded racing tyre, and they do that so the Formula Hood doesn't have to have a wet and makes it cheaper to race.
Well, it's going to be green in a few moments, and there it is, the first green flag of the season for the sport class. And Benjamin Roberts did a little bit of wheel spinning between gear 1 and 2, actually might have missed a shift. Tyson Admer's going to lead the way down. It's going to be Timothy Harris, who also gets a good start, jumps ahead of Michael Albert. I reckon there was a dry and a wet side of the circuit, and some drivers might have spun tyres. There's a river at turn 2 that you've got to cross. You've got to be very careful. It's treacherous, too wide. There is only one racing groove, and for the meantime, Mitchell Albert did get down the inside at turn number 3, managed to go and nick that spot off of Ben Roberts. How are they going to sort themselves out a little bit further back in the pack? Everyone manages to survive thus far, and you can just see it is standing room only as everyone looks for the dry line.
It is chaos in the midfield there, Scott.
Oh, someone's around.
3 and 4 abreast. Oh,
someone just went off the back of the sweeper. We're hearing it's David Bass. Yeah,
on the outside of the sweeper. Such a treacherous piece of the road. You know, as the car goes, you just slide straight off and downhill as you go off the side. The grass goes downhill and away you're gone. So we've got a great run at the front. Obviously, Benny Roberts had a bit of a problem off the start line there. Really didn't pick up second gear. May have got a lot of wheel spin into second gear and just went backwards. But you know, it's a long race. They got half an hour. He's sitting in 4th place. It's okay. Calm. And that's
calm
a good,
for now.
Good message for you too, Scott. Just calm for a second.
Good shout on that one. Jackson Austin was just having a go at Ian Zhu for 5th spot as well as they come off of turn 10. It's picking up where the puddles are. Don't touch the curbs. Those white painted lines are going to be a lot of drama here tonight as well. There's going to be a battle for our race lead early on at the end of lap number 1. Timothy Harris was looking to potentially shove the nose to the inside of Hanmer. Hanmer's a touch wide and offline at 1. That means he's out of control at 2, but he does miss the stream, and that's what he was looking for at the exit of turn 2. Manages to hang on to it, but there's a lot of attitude coming from a lot of these cars as they traverse tricky conditions. Using the curb in the run between turn 3 and turn 4, difficult, but drivers managing to do it right now.
the thing is, with the wet conditions, there's a bit more grip offline, so they don't run on the racing line because there's too much rubber built in and it gets very slippery. They tend to run what they call the go-kart line.
Oh,
That's
around
not
goes
the go-kart
Hammer!
line.
Tyson Hammer just lost it from the lead! Tyson Hammer just lost the car from the lead!
We're going to see more of that yet.
He's now trying to rejoin and get himself resorted out, but that means that Timothy Harris now leads the way from Mitchell Albert. Ben Roberts back to third spot, so at least one spot up from where he finished last lap. Now Jackson Austin as well, by the way, managed to find his way past Ian Zhu, so there might have been a mistake there for Zhu. This will be the moment that we'll have for Hanma, and you can just see, he just touched a little bit of a puddle. There's a lot of wheel work going on in that car.
Oh, he just lost it through there.
I reckon he might have just barely touched the curb on the exit.
Luckily, he didn't go around all the way. He's only, I was going to say, he's only dropped back a few spots. That looks like a couple of guys having a, real issue there. Jason Depp. Oh, whoa, that's a really interesting rejoin. What's going on?
Yeah, and for Dennis Hawkins, unfortunately, parked up on the side of the road. Lem Nguyen is the other driver as well that's there. And
that was some crazy stuff there. Race control will be all over that one. I guarantee they'll be looking at that one right now.
Yeah, they'll have a look at it. And the big key is what do the lap times look like compared to a dry time at the moment. I can tell you, fastest lap time for Jackson Austin, 32.0. Well, a dry time around here is about a 1 minute 25 to 1 minute 26.
It's not as far away as you think. So it says that it's reasonably dry. You know, it may look wet. I don't really think the iRacing model of the spray off the tyres is that accurate at the moment. They'll work on that. But I think it's drier than it looks at the moment, I'd say, Scott.
It's a lot wetter than it looks, is generally the way. Normally you can see a lot of dry lines. You can see them as they come down, actually. So this will tell what happened at the end of last lap. It was the car on the inside, the 21 machine, was the driver that initiated all that, which was Jason Depp on the 30 machine of Lam Nguyen.
I can tell you. Here. Look at that.
But he's cutting across the pit lane.
Yeah, you just don't drive into a guy who's in pit lane. He'll be taking quite a hike.
And for Jason Depp, was that Jason Depp was still looking at there? Or no, there was another moment that
I don't know who.
It was Ben Roberts actually making a pass on Mitchell Albert, who's now moved back up into second place. And as this track dries out, starting to find it just a little bit. I can tell you that dry groove is starting to widen with about 30 Formula Fords running around at the moment. It'll certainly help that out. And Lam Nguyen, I think it was, with the rejoin, picks up that penalty. So they were aware of it in race control and already handled.
Yep. Yeah, we're seeing the cars really moving around a lot on this wet surface. There's a lot of sideways out of the corners. They're certainly trying hard, and the cars are very inconsistent at the moment. It's making for some great racing.
I think the biggest thing is they're having to cross over that wet dry line, so you can just see down here, the right-hand side of the road is where you don't want to be on the braking zone down here into turn 10. But then very quickly, you want to be sort of in the middle of the corner, dodge the puddles to the inside, but close to it. And I can tell you, Ben Roberts is all over the back. We're about to see an overtake for the race leaders. He's going to get to the inside at the second to last corner. There's just enough some space down there. Gets it done, moves immediately back over to the drier part of the racetrack because he needs to run out of the final corner. Tim Harris might be close enough for another stab when they get down to turn number 1. Not over and done with yet. Defends the inside of the road. He's going to have to find a dry patch of track though now, and does manage to do so. Manages to hang on to the spot. But now it's looking for the mistake, and it must have been a mistake for Mitchell Harris that set that one up.
Yeah, he only needs to get a little bit wide and a little bit wet and a little bit of wheel spin, and it creates an opportunity. And that's there's very much the conditions out there at the moment. Is there's wet, there's dry, and it's all over the road, and you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you've got an issue. So here's Lam Nguyen that drive-through penalty for that earlier indiscretion, which was a little bit of red mist there early laps of the first round, and we will see the driving settle down as the series goes on too. We always find that happens early on in the series. Everybody's red hot, red-blooded, lots of passion, lots of excitement, and tend to overdrive a little bit, and we'll see that today.
I think the interesting thing that I'm sort of already taking note of here, Dave, is that spray is lessening, absolutely lessening,
Yes.
and the track is getting drier already. We're 5 laps into this one. Conclusion, this one will start as 6th, but the track is starting to widen out, and like you said, there will be no pit stops for a change of tyre like we might have seen last season out with the Super Formula Lights, where they had a distinct wet and dry tyre, not just the one compound for both conditions.
Yeah, and looking at it now, we're about 8 minutes in. There's 22 minutes to go in this race. So that's a hell of a way to go.
Ben Roberts has just come out and set the fastest lap of the race. So as that track continues to dry, the lap times start to come down. By the way, remember when I said the lap times? Yeah, remember when I said the lap times were about a 32 flat at the start of the race? We've already chopped about 2 seconds out of that lap time, such as the improvement in the grip.
Yep. Yep. So there, the track is drying rapidly right now, Scott. We're seeing, I think I'm hearing, that's Ross Hansen off the road.
Which was inside the top 10.
We're seeing all of the, and there's someone in the background doing exactly the same thing. So they're starting to push hard because they're feeling that grip coming on, but everybody is setting personal best, one after the other on these laps, because the track is drying, and it is drying rapidly, because we can see the sun on the cars, they're casting shadows on the road, and it is drying fast.
Well, funny you say that, because the track temp actually just dropped a degree, so the track temperature is bobbling around a little bit, and around the outside for David Baz.
David Baz, that's Rallycross.
He was looking for some stones to find some bite, find some turn, find some grip, and it was just too hot for what is a drying track. And I could just hear, I think it's Timothy Harris and Mitchell Albert, they're right up and against the rev limiter at getting those shifts going through. So right now they're really trying to maximize the extent of all the gears that are available to them in the car. And those curbs as well, starting to think about it. There's a few drivers I've noticed between turn 3 and turn 4 starting to use the curbs. So curbs are going to come into this one. Here comes Albert, gets a run down the inside, wetter part of the road, but it's got the thicker stones in it. There was some bite, there was some give there. Now for the flip back. This is allowing Ben Roberts to set sail. Tim Harris has got to have another go, but he's on the winner part of the track. Can he find some grip? He cannot. And around the outside, Mitchell Albert. Now Shrew's going to line him up and try and have a go as well.
They're well out on those curbs. Those curbs are wet and slippery. Yeah, they're painted surface out there. You've got to be really careful out on those curbs.
Nowhere for the water to go, and that's the big key. And Zhu is starting to crawl all over Timothy Harris. So Harris might have led this race at one point. Here comes Zhu, and I just watched Michael Albert get all out of control on the rundown into turn 8, I believe, as well. So now they're all starting to build up, and I don't know whether or not Mitchell Albert's the cork in the bottle. I don't know whether or not Timothy Harris is the cork in the bottle. The one thing I do know is Ben Roberts is looking at these guys and he's saying, "Have at it, boys, I'm out of here."
Well, second, third, fourth, and fifth are having an absolute ding-dong. This is superb racing.
Well, now they're going to have to settle themselves down on it. First 10 minutes of the season is out of the way. 19 minutes from the first round for sport out of the way. And don't forget, if you're sitting along at home watching this and going, I like Formula Fords, I like watching, so, oh my God, Mitchell Albert, huge moment out of the final corner. He had that thing nearly about 70 degrees to the road, and that's going to give Timothy Harris an opportunity to sneak back down the inside. Well, he got to second place. It lasted a lap. And Timothy Harris back to the point.
Here we go. Here we come with the replay, I'm guessing. And I'm looking at this and going, oh, look at that. That is so out of shape.
I can tell you, live pictures, Timothy Harris just about did the same thing just a moment ago. So this one is not over. 3 seconds now, Ben Roberts skipped out clear ahead of these guys with all the squabbling. How about Zhu? How about Austin that'll lining these guys up as well? And who's sitting in fifth is Cirillo.
Oh, Zhu down the inside.
Zhu fired it down the inside, trying to have a go at Mitchell Albert, and Gustavo Cirillo started 10th up to 6th and starting to close in on these guys as well. So there's an opportunity for Cirillo here. They're all still trying to squabble around and find that drier Pete of the racetrack. Mitchell Albert and Timothy Harris. Harris ran very, very wide at turn 9, now trying to find that drier part of the racetrack. Zhu looking for an opportunity, dives back to the racing line. Take your eyes off this, and you are missing a huge motor race. How can you look anywhere else at the moment?
the problem here is they get offline to try and make a move, and they step into the wet circuit, and they just cannot get the braking done down the inside because the road's wet. So it's really awkward to pass out here. You're really looking for mistakes. Oh, more people off the road.
Yeah, Sean McKenzie's
McKenzie off the road.
having a go at this one as well. And Ben Roberts goes ahead and takes another second of the lap time. So we're only about 3 or 4 seconds off what a dry lap time is right now. Such is the condition and state of the road. So it's not all that far off being relatively dry. The only problem is if you make a mistake, there's a giant big old puddle just off the racing line as Albert has another huge moment. Pressing it around, runs off the circuit in behind him. But now he's right up and underneath that gearbox. You might say rear wing, but they're Formula Fords. They haven't got one.
No, and you're saying there that it's dry, but there's huge puddles everywhere. Zoo keeps trying down that inside. He keeps trying that inside line. He's looking for that place. But what he's doing is sticking it down there. If the guy in front of him locks a brake, he's got an opening. And here he's trying again. He's just prodding up the inside. But Cirillo's certainly moving in onto the back of them.
Yeah, Gustavo Cirillo.
Just off the back there.
And Tyson Hanma's starting to recover here as well, by the way, after his incident sliding off the racetrack, back to 7th spot. He's 2.5 seconds in behind these guys and closing as it currently stands. They're still squabbling for it. Zhu's looking for another run down the inside. Did get to the inside of Mitchell Albert. Is there space? Does pull alongside, but forced to back out as the drier part of the racetrack on the left-hand side. Got to find some grip, and all of a sudden, Timothy Harris breathes a sigh of relief, but Zhu is not done yet. Zhu's going to have another go at this one, and he is to the inside as they run down to turn number 1. A big wiggle on the braking for for Mitchell Albert means that Ian Zhu finally finds that way through. He's got pace. He's got pace, so Mitchell Albert's lost another one, and now it is going to become a 5-car battle pack. Timothy Harris tries to skip clear, and Gustavo Cirillo has arrived on the scene. In the changeable conditions, Cirillo's starting to find some real pace. Here he comes. He's going to have a crack. Trying to go side by side through the sweeper is just about suicide in wet conditions, Dave.
Just about, it's certain suicide. Side by side, it's certain suicide. You can see the puddles on the outside, on the inside. You step a few inches out of line, and I mean, it's all over.
Yeah. And it's about lining them up and timing it. And Cirillo's really looking for any way that he can get that overlap. And the problem is right now there is a dry line, a distinct dry line. And the problem is if you move a little bit wider where the stones are a little bit, there's sharper stones around the outside. The problem is the circuit's just not dry out there. So now it's looking for the in-between line, the mixed line or the dry line. It's very, very difficult to pick up where you should be right now, Dave.
Yeah, it is just, I think right now, it's just keep a lid on it, keep it clean, stay on the pace, stay on the road, and look to the last sort of 10 minutes. Hopefully then it'll be a little bit drier and you'll get that double dry line where you've got an opportunity to shove it down the inside.
Well, Ben Roberts goes and breaks the fastest lap of the race. It's to 28. Gustavo Cirillo also in the 28s, as was Tyson Hanma and a few other drivers. So this pack is starting to really get caught, and Timothy Harris is trying to hang on to the lead of this battle pack, but I get the feeling if Cirillo can find some space. By the way, Justin Austin, that moment he just had, they're going to go side by side on the entry to the sweeper yet again because he's really trying to harass the back end now with Gustavo Cirillo. Can he crack his way into the top 5? Now Austin's a little bit offline, a little bit of a wiggle, a window to the inside, opens up a little bit, forces Austin to go deep, but that means that Cirillo's got better drive through the middle of the corner. And normally you might sit here and you say through this section of the racetrack, it's single groove, but Formula Fords, Dave, no, they can pass in just about any corner. Oh, big moment for Austin. Opportunity down the inside. Here comes Cirillo. Can he find the drive? No, well, the drier part of the racetrack's to the left-hand side, the inside line, but Jackson Austin's not on the dry line at this point in time. Is he going to run it a little bit deep? Looks for the switchback. Gustavo Cirillo really starting to harass the rear bumper now of Jackson Austin. He pulls alongside, but where do they brake? Where do they position the car when they get down to turn number 11? Austin is trying to go deep, and Cirillo's still looking for the switchback. He is closer. and closer and closer. And Ian Zhu has just got through to second place as well. So they're all fighting for it. Now he switches back to the inside of the racetrack to try and defend and cover from that one. And I tell you what, Cirillo's about to have a go for fifth as well. Gets to the inside.
Right round the
Austin very
outside.
deep. Round the outside and back to the point for Timothy Harris. So he's great at going and nicking these spots back off when the other drivers have got a little bit of a pace. Phenomenal racing action here in just round one, Dave.
Well, it's only halfway through round one, to be honest, and we're just about out of breath already. That move around the outside, so he's obviously got the run out of that last corner. He's about getting the run and the speed. It's really hard to consolidate a pass. And Zhu prodding down the inside again there. He likes that inside line.
He absolutely does. I think he's just like harassing the mirror of the driver ahead of him. And there was another wiggle for Harris as they entered down there. Now he gets out on the inside. Was there contact there? I don't know that there was in Timothy Harris. Timothy Harris was harassed, maybe a little bit too much of the rear brake in it.
Stuck on the curb.
And now he's stuck on the edge of the track. He's going to have to call for a tow. The rear end of this car is off the ground.
Yep. Oh, what an absolute disaster. So the car's stuck on the curb. It's beached up on the curb. He cannot get any drive out of the rear wheels and he can't move. The only way he's moved from there, he's got to call for a tow.
He's doing all he possibly can to rock, shimmy and shake that car just to touch forward. He's absolutely doing everything. So that decides it for Timothy Harris.
All over.
He's still stuck on that curb, and he's still stuck. And I have not heard a request for tow at the moment.
I don't believe there was a touch yet. I think he's just lost it all.
No.
Yeah, he just lost it himself. And it just rolled it back over and got caught on the curb.
And there's a couple things about this car and these conditions that are really, really important. One, as a driver, he has now just requested for a tow, and with the terminology beached as, at least he made light of it. But the secondary part of all of this, Dave, as I was just going to say, is wet conditions. You've got to screw some rear brake bias into it to balance things out amongst all four. They like a little bit more. And the safety car's now being deployed as well.
Like some beach, hey, Tim? Oh. That's so unfortunate. But, it does happen. I've seen it happen in real life. Exactly the same thing, and especially here at Winton, because where you go off the circuit's sort of raised and it drops down at an angle, and it's really easy to get beached on those curbs on the side.
So now he is going to be able to get his way back into the pits and potentially try and rescue something.
That's somebody sideways.
But he's going to be laps down.
Again.
And, David Baz not having a great night at the office, although some dry conditions might favour him.
Here we go. This little replay. Oh, he's trying to help him out.
Who was
He's actually
that?
trying to push him back onto the road. Oh, what was that? There we go.
Okay, well, that's one of the more interesting approaches he's trying to do it.
Car.
That was...
Look at that safety car.
That was why David Baz was losing spots. He was out there trying to help a fellow competitor get back out there. Right, new car to the sim racing service, not the Formula Ford, the Mustang GT3 safety car. So, look, the engine on it sounds phenomenal. But how good's the paintwork for the Australian Formula Ford's E-Series?
Let's just hope Lachlan can keep it pointed in the right way for a change.
Hope they've got the wet tyres bolted onto that thing, because dry tyres out there on a GT3 machine would not be fun to drive at this point in time. And
well, we shouldn't have done that. We should have given him the dries just for
pure hilarity value for the commentators, not so much fun for the drivers.
Yeah, just to be mischievous. Well, this is banked everybody back up together. I think we'll probably do a wade through, so I think you'll see, is that David Baz there in second on the road? Yeah, so he's gone to the right-hand side. So race control are directing anybody who's a lap down to go to the right-hand side of the road. Anybody who's on the lead lap on the left-hand side, and then they'll do a wayfind. And there goes David. Lam Nguyen has gone through, and he will get to make that lap back up.
Yeah, so there's 3 cars that are 1 or more laps down at this point in time, and one of them was the driver that did bring out that safety car. So it's Liam Nguyen, Dennis Hawkins, and Timothy Harris are the 3 drivers that are eligible to potentially get their lap back, although with Timothy Harris, I'm not 100% sure if he will be eligible to get that lap back and sit still in the pit lane, so difficulty for him. But the difficulty, Dave, is you've had a little bit of freedom out in front for Ben Roberts, and he has been setting fastest laps of the race. But now how do you reset after a safety car period?
Well, you know, it's trying, and Ben's an absolute gun competitor. To be honest, Ben shouldn't even be in sport. He should be in pro. But you know, there's reasons he obviously hasn't been able to get himself organised for pro this season. And that might be the case that he's just running a few races. But, you know, Ben's an absolute pro in his performance and his ability, and he will be looking at this going, okay, she's drying up. He knows what the surface was before. He knows the surface is going to be a little bit better. He knows he's got speed in hand over the other guys, so he doesn't have to push at 11 tenths. But it's still wet out there. He can still make a mistake. But I think he'll sort of really settle down and step away from the rest of the guys. I think you'll see that happen.
Something I've never actually... we're going to get a replay here of the incident between Sean McKenzie and Daniel Boswell in just a few moments, and here it comes on cue. Down at
That's a little love tap.
But it was the lead car that actually touched the puddle that caused that checkup.
Yeah, look, you know, in these conditions, those sort of things do happen. And I will say, Scott, we've got a tremendous amount of new competitors out here. I mean, sort of almost 50-60% of the field is new drivers, which is wonderful to see all these new people coming in. And you were saying earlier, you know, if you're sitting here watching this tonight and you go, God, I'd love to be involved in that, you can. And you can do it next week. All you need to do is get onto the Discord, join FRG, and you can come out here and try and pre-qualify next week. Next week is Oschersleben, a free track, German, great circuit, tough circuit. But you get out there on Sunday night, there's open servers, you get in there, and if you can qualify and set a time in the top 30, you get invited to race in this next Monday night. So if you're sitting there thinking, God, I wouldn't mind to be a part of this is great to watch, get off your bum and do it.
Well, I can tell you where I'm now going to be on Sunday night. In the qualifying server, setting laps. Not to see if I can qualify, because obviously I'll be on commentary duties with you. I've already booked in my Monday night chill out session with Dave Roberts, but I do like driving these cars. I was actually in the sim churning laps in the wet conditions, in the changeable conditions, and having a real good blast doing so. Ben Roberts waits till the apex of the last corner. We are green flag racing. The big question that's about to be answered is, what is the pace of Ian Zhu look like? Because he's now cut his way through. The other side of the coin is Tyson Hanma. Led this race at one point, was quick in the wet. Now he's back up to 6th position. Gustavo Cirillo not able to get that job done thus far throughout the racing. And Jackson Austin's going to try and fire it down the inside on Mitchell Albert. Gets to his inside. Deep, touches the curve though, and gets a little bit unsettled trying to give him space. And now he's going to have to file back in to 4th spot, and here comes Cirillo. Now he's out in the weeds, touches the gravel, little bit of dirt in the tyres. Gustavo Cirillo finally gets the opportunity he's been waiting for. Does he pull it up in the sweeper? Yes he does, and he's finally into 4th spot. But Jackson Austin's going to try and look for the switchback, gets to the inside, little bit of a dry part of the racetrack, round the outside, and Mitchell Albert just about ran off the road. Zhu's managed to go with Ben Roberts. Everyone's starting to get active in their racing seats, and I tell you what, Tyson Hanma not too far away as well. So whilst Austin and Cirillo are going to go toe-to-toe, now it's going to be Austin who looks in the rearview mirror and says, Tyson Hanma, you're coming at me, good luck.
Yeah, that was some superb driving there, and they gave each other room. They were very respectful. That's about the fun of Formula Ford. It's not just about winning, but it's about really enjoying your drive. And these boys are all enjoying their drive.
Well, the thing I'm enjoying, Dave, though, is that defensive skills and offensive skills are on the show. And you know it's good racing when you can be like that, but you've also got to have a little bit of that wet master about you as well.
Kurt Bond there, really wide out of the corner. And he's got a bit of a run down the inside. That is a nice move down in the wet, and oh no, there's a little bit of a fuck up there. Woo.
Not quite done, not quite solved.
Not quite done.
There's only 3.5 minutes left of this race, so I reckon we're going to get this lap and maybe one more in as it currently stands, because it's going to be tight on time. Actually, we might get the extra lap in. There might be 3 laps left to go. How about Ian Zhu? Has he managed to go with Ben Roberts? Yes, he has thus far. By the way, Jackson Austin's about to have another go back at Cirillo as well, so that one's not over for 4th spot. They're side by side, and now Cirillo's got a car to his inside. He's going to try and pinch into the
touch there.
And does manage to squeeze him into the wetter part of the racetrack for Cirillo. So Cirillo is defending for all his might. And that starts to bring Tyson Hanma back into this one. Nathan Verney, in the meantime, 1 lap ago, managed to get his way past Chris Barnes at this corner right here. Oh, big moment for Jackson Austin. That's going to present an opportunity now for Tyson Hanma. He's going to force this guy to cover. And does Hanma find the road to be able to get something done at the second to last corner? Penultimate corner, penultimate lap, potentially just about off. Hanma ran it very wide. Verney skates on through. Chris Barnes was looking for an opportunity. So Tyson Hanma goes for diving it for 5th. And now he sits in 7th.
Boy, they're diving late and just running out of road on the wet surface. It's still really uncertain. It's really inconsistent surface. Makes it so hard to do that dive down the inside or make that passing move when the surface is so inconsistent. Look at the size of the puddles down the middle of the road there, Scott. They're not little.
Yeah. Although the racing line might be dry anywhere off, it is completely terrestrial. Kurt Bond off into the weeds once again. There's somebody else in behind him with him.
It's not driving very straight. I think that needs a bit of a wheel alignment there, Kurt.
Well, that will be Kurt's race just about over with 1 minute and 45 seconds on the clock. There is going to be one more lap after this one, so we will get white flag when we get back to the start-finish line. Ian Zhu not quite able to match Ben Roberts at the moment, but I tell you who was quick on this restart actually was Mitchell Albert. Set the fastest lap of the race, and it's just a little bit of curb there.
Yep, just a little bit of the puddle, and that was that. And then, unfortunately, somebody else, and that's just unfortunate at the end of that.
And Mitchell Albert too far back at this point in time to think about having a go at Ian Zhu, although he was the fastest car last time by. White flag's going to come out. One more lap to go. Has anyone saved up something? Has anyone got something in the tank to have a go? And Cirillo and Austin are still not done in their stoush as well. So currently your podium as it stands is going to be Ben Roberts from Ian Zhu from Mitchell Albert. And then it's a little bit of a gap as everyone else has been a little bit squabbling.
Was that the last lap, or was the stewards just surrendering?
One more. I think they're sitting up there and clapping and just enjoying a good race. They've had very little to do.
They've gone, white flag, we surrender. Give us a break. It's ruined the crew back there in race control. They just send out the white flag, we surrender.
Well, Gustavo Cirillo's navigated most of the lap to hang on to 4th at this point in time. Actually, something's... Oh, no, so my apologies. I was about to say something's happened to Jackson Austin. I'm blind. I'm misreading things. And Austin's now gotten right back to Gustavo Cirillo. There is nothing between these guys. Tries to get the outside a little bit loose on the entry. Doesn't quite get the drive, and that will probably run him out of an opportunity. So that will solve that one. So the next battle is going to be Tyson Hanma on track, but it'll be Ben Roberts to the penultimate corner. He'll come out of 11. He'll try and line it up and come straight out of 12. The run to the flag is all that's going to be left in his race for round number 1 from Winton. Tough, technical, tricky conditions, interchangeable lines as the night went on, and a little bit of an adjustable brake bias for Ben Roberts, but he shows that he has got the skill to win Formula Ford Australia sports class. The fixed setup boys all come home. Zhu drove through the field from 5th to 2nd at the line. Mitchell Albert finishes where he starts, and there'll be a few drivers a little bit deeper in the field that did not make the best of the conditions and slid down.
So it's a really good effort and some great new names well up there, and good to see like Nathan Favero there is absolutely new to the series, inside the top 10 in his first run. That's great to see.
Now, Adrian Gretsch is another big mover, by the way. Started 20th up to 11th, so reasonable night at the office for him. Tyson Hanma will be disappointed. He had an opportunity very, very early on where he led the race, and then that was an own unforced error that bowled him a wide. 22nd to 12th, by the way, for Sean McKenzie. Good race for him.
That's
Mark
nice
Bowman.
driving.
also 25th to 14th. So didn't get qualifying right, got it right in the race, and overtaking sometimes quite fun to do as well. But for the drivers that went backwards, unfortunately, Kurt Bond finished off the lead lap. Timothy Harris from 4th to a DNF. That's a frustrating night for Timothy because, again, another unforced error, did it on his own.
Yeah, it's really tough, and you've got a little bit of, you're at the hands of the weather, because in the wind it is easy to get involved in somebody else's incident. So the guys who come out there in the top 10, they should go, I banked that was good, and regardless of where you finished, forget it, because not every round is going to be wet like this. So as long as you survive and you don't have a terrible night, you can come out of there and go, okay, I banked that. Now let's go to the dry one and really make a difference.
Yeah, Ben Roberts is going to take the win from Ian Zhu. From Mitchell Albert home in 3 is your podium. Gustavo Cirillo finished in 4th ahead of Jackson Austin. What a battle those two guys had. Tyson Hammer will be a little bit frustrated with 6. Nathan Verney finishes 7th in a reasonable night at the office for him. Chris Barnes up to 8th. Ross Hansen in 9th. And Nathan Favero rounding out your top 10. Then it's overleaf to Adrian Gretsch. Like we said, 9 positions gained. Happy with that one. Sean McKenzie, another great night at the office for him. 10 spots gained from the grid. Scott Harvey as well, up to 13th. Mark Bowman from Jason Depp was often in the weeds early on. Dean Williams and Tyler Blackburn, 16th and 17th. Daniel Boswell, Ronald Long home in 19th. And Lachlan Taylor home in 20th. We'll throw it over to 21st and on backwards. Matthew Bakir in trouble a little bit with the stewards. Won't finish in that spot. I believe there was a post-race penalty to him. Stephen Casitas, Michael Gillespie, Martin Lipsky home in 24th. Dennis Hawkins in 25th. David Baz home in 26th after trying to help out with the stricken Timothy Harris. Lam Newen. Kurt Bond finishes 2 laps down. Actually was a DNF. And Timothy Harris, the other retirement from that race.
Whew.
And by the way, we have got a little bit of a live look in at what the track looks like for Pro. That is exactly what the track looks like. So we go from a drier track for the sport boys over to a very wet track, you would have to say, for that one, Dave, for the Pro guys.
Yeah, the great thing of this season is that when it comes to Pro, we're going to see the qualifying, and here we are in qualifying now, and hopefully we'll get some times up as they sort of set them. But they've just gone out, and the heavens have opened as they've come out, and it is an absolute downpour. So this is just fantastic, because we're seeing those changing conditions. We're not going to see this every race. It's typical for Winton, though. You know, the amount of times the Formula Ford Series has started at Winton in the rain, it's just so correct. Anyway.
Have a look at a number of the drivers having issues with braking on the run down at turn number 10, by the way.
Yeah.
Very quickly, Dave, we've got some time here.
It's really wet.
We've got some time here to quickly. We're going to go have a quick chat to Ben Roberts. Ben Roberts,
okay.
Dave was posing the question to you. What was the issue with being able to make your way into Pro? And he said, look, it might actually be that he's not able to make all the rounds. So answer that one for us.
Yeah, he's right on point there. I'm going on a little bit of a holiday to Tassie at the start of August. So, you know, if I was doing Pro sort of the rounds 6 and 7, I'm gonna miss, and I get back right before the last round. Like, that's when I come home. So yeah, just didn't want to take up space for someone who's, you know, might be in with a chance when I'm sort of not really going to be in contention at the end.
Well, we might have to take a wheel off just to make it fair.
In terms of things, though, that track was difficult. Any advice for the guys rolling out in Pro Trim now? Because that track it's absolutely pouring down in terms of qualifying. For you guys, it dumped down in practice, and then it dried up as you sort of got into qualifying, and the track every single lap was improving.
Yeah, I guess it stopped raining with about 20 minutes left in practice. Yeah, the big thing is just to, you know, not hit the puddles and not use the normal racing line whenever you can, especially on turn-in. That's when it gets really bad, and sort of going off, sort of on and off the rubber. That's, you know, your car can just snap around on you really easy. So it's just about being careful and just staying out of trouble.
And finally, Ben, congratulations on the race win tonight. Who would you like to thank that make it possible for you?
Thanks to yourselves for broadcasting this, to FIG for putting this on, and of course, DPR, all of our sponsors, MP Designs, Southwell Lifts and Hoist, and Ben Max Mechanical. I hope everyone was really enjoyed watching the sport race, and we'll be watching to see how the pro boys get it on.
Mate, congratulations on the race win tonight. We'll see you again for the rest of the season, I'm sure.
Thanks a lot, boys.
Thanks, Benny.
Boy,
Right,
this looks really wet out there, Scott. And I don't see, looking at that radar, it's not going to get a lot better anytime soon.
Yeah, well, just having a look at Ben Bargwana and having a look at the weather as well. So for those of you watching along and seeing the live radar, we haven't had a lot of opportunities to use this thus far on SimSpeed. Well, the blue is actually lighter rain, the green is heavier, and the yellow that starts out at the bottom end of that one has already bypassed the circuit as the rain comes from the northwest. That is the medium amounts of rain. So thumping down at the moment, no, but the track is wet. We've just gone through a green band, is drying as it currently stands. The back end of this qualifying session is going to get faster and faster and faster. You can't just throw an empty fuel tank at this car in open qualifying trim. Can you here in these sorts of conditions, Dave? Because the difficulty is that car is just going to, the track is going to improve, and you want warm tyres whilst the track's improving. So you can't just throw 2 laps of fuel at it and then jump out of the thing. No, you've got to be in this session the entire time to get the best out of the car.
And it's interesting, Pro's quite different to Sport because Pro has an open setup, so these guys are able to set the car up any way they like. And additional to that, and this is the big one for the race, is there is no fast repair. You damage the car, you're out of the race. So just like the real thing, and we do that with the Pro series because it is elevating that that experience to the real world. Yeah, if you go and take a corner up in the real world, you don't go into the pits and hit the button and get a new corner put on. You're out of the race, and that's exactly the same in this. So in these conditions, and with those those criteria, this is going to be a really, really tough race. And you see them sliding around out there, something serious. But at the top, I'm going to say too, at the top of the timesheet there, look who that is. Damon Woods, a reigning champion in car number 1.
Quite stout in just about anything Damon Woods jumps into and drives. And don't forget, he's a Formula 4 driver from the real world as well. So he's out there and turning laps. It's been a while since I've seen him.
He hasn't been driving his Formula 4 this year. I think he's got a few budget restraints. So, if anybody's out there looking and going, gee, that kid's really good, give him a hand, because he is a talent, and he is at the top of the timesheet there. He does have a real race car, and I reckon he's a real talent. But what he needs is a little bit of financial backing, and it doesn't take much. I know there's a few people out there helping him already. I've got some friends out there who are helping him, and he really is a talent, and I'd love to see him get an opportunity. And it's there in second place, Will Lowing, another great young guy, lots and lots of talent. But these guys are short of budget, and it's really hard in Australia today to sort of raise the budget to go motor racing. Unless you've got a very wealthy family, it's bloody hard. They've got all the talent and no budget. So if you're looking at this and going, gee, wouldn't it be cool to take somebody from this area into the real world and push it along and end up with somebody who's achieved something, and to think you could have helped that'd be fantastic. I would, if I had the money, I'd love to do it.
Yeah, I'd do exactly the same thing. Throw a little bit of cash around. And Damon's actually a lovely guy as well. I had the opportunity to chat to him a few times, and he's just fun to be around. He's just out there having a blast. He runs out the Eclipse SimSport teams, helps them with setups and everything as well. So look, for Damon, opportunity here, and the difficulty is right now try and find a little bit of free racetrack as it currently stands, and you've got to stay out there the entire time, because whilst these cars are turning laps on that track, we saw it from the Sport boys. They're clearing water. They're getting that water up and off the racetrack and starting to generate a little bit of a dry line. And the difference in those lines, lap to lap to lap as well, if that track starts to dry out, all of a sudden what was slippery a few moments ago becomes where you want to place the car, David. Reading that as a driver, incredibly difficult.
Yeah, now also, Scott, there's some really interesting people out here. From memory, I believe Seth Brown. Now, Seth, if I'm not wrong, and I have got the right person, I believe Seth is one of the digital engineers or an engineer for one of the V8 supercar teams. So he's a real race engineer. You've also got out there Ewan Baker, who's a New Zealander with a Scottish accent. Great guy, fantastic racer, super fast. You've also got Kobe Williams, who's a current Formula Ford Australia, running in the championship at the moment. They're in 14th. We've got Benny Barguana. Now, Ben Barguana is one of the world's top TCR drivers. He goes all over the world racing TCRs, and here he is out in a Formula Ford. This is just fantastic to see these guys. Chris Mitchell, last year, Chris was sitting in your seat, Scott. So next year, am I going to see you in the top, 12?
Well, for the Formula Fords, I'm getting out there. I might have to play swapsies with Chris Mitchell each and every season just so I can get a drive from time to time.
And another one there in 24th, Chase Saxel. I believe he turns, is it 11 or 12 this week? I mean, you got young kids out there, and they're getting the opportunity to race with people like Penny Barguana, who is just super experienced. What a great opportunity for these young kids to get involved, This is what this is all about. And this is why Formula back this, because Formula Ford, as much as the formula that they are, they're really about bringing on fantastic talent in Australia. It's Andrew Gilliam is the engineer. Sorry, I knew I had one. It's not Seth Brown. Andrew Gilliam is the V8 engineer. So, sorry, Seth. I know you're just a great driver instead. Andrew Gilliam's one of the V8 engineers. But we've got some fantastic people out there, and it's a great opportunity for these young kids to get involved. Formula Ford believe in bringing on talent. That's what the formula is all about, and they're keen to put some money in to see real talent get an opportunity to showcase and maybe one day step into the real world. And that's what this is all about. And it's not just about promoting Formula Ford, but it's about promoting talent. And it's bloody awesome to see.
Yeah, and as the track continues to improve as well, those lap times start to come down. So for William Loving sits second as it currently stands, is currently 3/10 of a second off pace as well.
And Kobe Williams has popped himself up into third fastest as well. And there's Gilliam that I said about the engineer. So he's in fifth. He'll be sitting there trying to work out how to set his car up for the main race, I'm sure. And Andrew's a cracker driver. Really, really good.
Well, Andrew Gilliam as well, one of the other big parts of this one is he's not just prepping for this and doing work for this, he's participating in the V8 Supercars Logitech Pro Invitational tomorrow night, Wednesday night as well. So, Formula Ford, all that prep work happens, the race happens tonight. As soon as that's done, jumps in a V8 Supercar, starts putting race face on as well. And that's one of the big things I think that's the key about sim racing. Everyone sits down and goes, oh, real world racing is really, really expensive. Well, it is. And then you're sort of locked in and limited to driving one thing. You're not going to commit to a Formula Ford season, a production car season. That's too much to do. That you're not going to really be able to chase that as much as you possibly can. Well, jump in a simulator. You can jump in a TCR. 5 minutes later, you can be in a Formula Ford. 5 minutes later, you can be in a V8 Supercar. 5 minutes later, you can go and race in NASCAR, or perhaps even jump into some dirt sprint cars as well.
Yep, and not only that, but you can go anywhere in the world and meet anybody. I've spent time online with Oscar Piastri. I've spent time online with some of the F1 guys, and it's amazing what other sport can you go on. And I can't go on a simulator and play tennis with Pete Sampras, but I can on here. I can go online and go to race against the Max Verstappen, because Max is always on here. Although I don't think Max and Lando are playing together anymore.
I was waiting, and I was wondering how long it would take you to make a Formula One comment, Dave. It was in the back of my mind, and I was just sitting there and thinking about it. Boy, that was a good race last night.
It was a good race, wasn't it? And I've got to say, my highlight of the night for me was that move of Oscar's around the outside of Carlos Sainz. That just was absolutely just music to my eyes, that was.
But it says that the confidence is building, and one of those guys, Oscar, would have started in go-karts, but progressed through Formula Fords as well.
Yep. And all these guys, I think, do happen to meet them. And I can remember having a conversation with Romain Grosjean on here, and they're really nice people. And guess what? They love motor racing, and they love people who love motor racing. If you're respectful, they'll talk to you, and it's what other sport can you do that? It's just awesome. And I know that Max loves driving this Formula Ford. He says it's a lot of fun.
Qualifying results still coming in, so Damon Woods has improved that time. He's now about 0.5 of a second out in front as it currently stands. There's a bunch of drivers sort of dropping in and around William Lowing, sort of from him all the way down to Andrew Gilliam. That positions keeps swapping just about all the time. Cooper Allen out there as well.
There too.
Yep.
Nico Mendes, new guy in the series, so that's great to see Nico up there in third place. William Lowing's really stepped the game up.
We're just hearing this lap from Andrew Gilliam is actually going to be an improvement on his current time. So anything could happen from here. Purple first sector now as well for Kobe Williams. So the track has improved as that rain's lifted a little bit. This is the last lap these guys are going to get for qualifying. So if this is purple sectors, there's no response. You've got to be on a lap. I've just seen Callum Newton spin, so his lap's gone. Brody Shepherd just had to go around him. His lap will be ruined as well. And Damon Woods is coming to the line right now. He's got 30 seconds, so Damon Woods will get another lap in.
There we go. Oh, Seth Brown up to second place. Oh, and he's gone. And Ben Miles up to P3. Really nice lap from Ben. And Ben's not from I know Ben, and he's not from a racing family. He's just a really, really nice guy. But he got involved in this sort of simulation just because he loved cars. And he's turned out to be such a cracker driver. Look at that P3 in Pro. Anybody can do it. You just have to have the talent.
Yeah, big problem for me. Talent. That's one of the important things.
Mine's age.
Kobe Williams jumps up and sits in a P3 now as well. Seth Brown did manage to crack the 33s as well, so has managed to jump on through there, and qualifying still running. So basically, there's a few cars that are on a lap here. Andrew Gilliam, I think, will be on a lap. I don't think he's crossed the start-finish line. So Andrew Gilliam's on a valid lap. This could be an improvement for him as it currently stands. But William Lowing, remember a couple moments ago, he sat second, not anymore. So these drivers have timed their runs quite successfully. Damon Woods comes out of the last corner. This needs to be an improvement. I think he stayed out there and stayed in it because he kind of needs to be out there. Is it going to be an improvement?
Second on anybody already.
Couple of hundredths away from an improvement. So did improve on that final lap. And Andrew Gilliam is on a run down to the second last corner as well. Seth Burchartz runs through, does improve. Chris Coxhead,
another new guy in the series.
And Seth Brown and Andrew Gilliam are both on the run out of the last corner as it currently stands. Dylan Gray doesn't improve. What's Gilliam and what's Seth Brown got as well? Gilliam does improve to 5th. So he just jumps William Lowing on the last spot.
Lowing. Yep. My driver of that session is Benny Miles. I think he's done a fantastic job putting himself in 4th place because he's just, he's he's not a real Formula Ford racer. He's just a guy.
And qualifying has now been run and done. It's going to be Damon Woods who manages to sneak out pole position. Starting off alongside of him, it's going to be Seth Brown in the 51 machine for Vermilion Motorsports. And row number 2, Kobe Williams, you mentioned, drives it in the real world for Sim Sports. Another Vermilion Sim Sports driver on his outside is Ben Miles. Moving it back to row number 3, Andrew Gilliam in Vermilion Motorsports. That has only just changed in the last couple of days. That one has moved on for Andrew Gilliam in terms of his VA7 cars, but will be off alongside of William Lowing. Then we'll move it one row further back and we'll have Chris Mitchell. Changeable conditions for Chris Mitchell puts him in a really, really good spot.
Good job from Chris.
We'll start off alongside of him. Then it's 9th and 10th. Ewan Baker continues his successful run in just about everything, making it into the top 10 off alongside of Seth Burchett. Then on row number 6, it's going to be Caleb Hydes and Brody Shepherd. Brody was looking good late on in that session, didn't improve on that final lap. Chris Coxhead and Hayden Veld in 13th and 14th. We'll make it one row further back to 15th and 16th will be Sam Chapman and James Chastanoff. Chasty, by the way, won Scop Split 2 on Sunday night. Was very, very happy with that result. Ben Bargwana out of 17th off alongside of Matthew Hansford-Taylor. And back to 19th and 20th, it is going to be Chase Saxill that qualifies inside the 20, off alongside of Callum Newton. For in behind these guys is going to be Jordan Mazzarelli off alongside of Caleb Bellac in 21st and 22nd. 23rd spot is going to be Sean Doyle off alongside of Caleb Dawson. Cooper Allen and Dylan Gray are going to make up row number 13. In behind them, row number 14, Alex Beswick and Dyson Freeman. Finally, last car on the grid from the rear of the field, James Foster.
Wow, that was a pretty tense session, wasn't it? Yeah, every second somebody was going faster. So Damon Woods did stamp his authority there. So let's see if we do the same in the race.
Yeah, and that'll be the difficulty of it. We are just a few moments away from going lights out in this race. Who is going to win the first race of the season? 30 minutes in a Formula Ford around Winton Motor Raceway. The rain is coming down for Damon Woods. What's the start look like off the front row? They're about to launch, and they do get away reasonably well. It was not the first launch that Seth Brown was looking for. Rolled away quite well and then bogged the car down. Does manage to slot back in a second spot, but it's going to be Damon Woods who lead us tripping over each other. Somebody wide back there as well. Andrew Gilliam's cutting his way back through. All over each other. Back in the first corner. I thought that might have been Hayden Veld. Indeed, it was Hayden Veld and Seth Birchance who were deeper in the field and crawling all over each other. But the rundown.
So close.
Kobe Williams and Andrew Gilliam going side by side. And sorry, Seth Brown and Kobe Williams that were going side by side. An opportunity was created. And have a look at Damon Woods on the wet line all the way round the outside at the sweep. The car falls over the road. There's two more cars in chaos as well. Here comes Kobe Williams looking for an overlap down to the inside. Gets alongside, parks it up, doesn't make contact. Now he'll be on the outside, which is the rain line. They will make contact as they get through turn number 8 though. And now he gets the inside, back to the slippery line. Can Seth Brown find some purchase on the stones out wide? Still looking for the drive off. Williams will finally clear and get to second.
That's half a lap side by side.
Only half, and only half of the first lap of the race as well. And now the difficulty for Kobe Williams is, can he go and chase Damon Woods? Two teammates, two Eclipse Motorsports drivers, both at the front end of the field.
Yeah, Kobe's made some really nice move there and got himself up in place, past Seth. That was a titanic battle. Great to see them give each other the respect of room on the road. Unlike, Max Verstappen and Lando, because these guys are better than they are. But fabulous bit of driving. But there was certainly something's happened here where we saw in the background. You think, there we go, touch in the middle and bang, and off that Hayden Veld, I think it is.
And
wheel.
Sam Chapman just called something in from the last corner of the previous lap as well. So something coming onto the start-finish straight. So more to have a look at the back end of the field. By the way,
not motoring away here.
No, and Seth Brown and William Lowing starting to crawl all over the back end of Andrew Gilliam as well. Everyone's looking for a little bit of visibility, a little bit of purchase, and Kobe Williams has found some. Looking for a drop down the inside.
The road back there.
Somebody is off in the grass, and Andrew Gilliam just about chops the nose off William Lowing as well. So this one's not going to go away. My word, Dave.
They're fighting hard very early on, considering there's another 30 minutes of wet weather riding to go. They're really, really serving it up to each other on the opening lap. Now, there's a penalty incident involving cars. Chris Mitchell, Ewan Baker, under investigation. So, we didn't see that. We may get a replay of that in the future, but, Chris and Ewan, two tough drivers.
The read of that weather radar is quite important, and that says conditions are going to worsen. So as light rain, we're now moving into medium rain. Not heavy, not red flag conditions, but getting close to it is what we're moving into, and it's going to stick with us for probably the bulk of this race. So that means the track is going to get worse and worse and worse. And Matthew Hansford-Saylor's got a car going to his outside. He'll find the stones on the outside of Chris's purchase. It's going to be Chris Coxhead, who's crawling all over him. Was also successful in a supercar the other night. Coxhead now gets to the inside. He'll be on the preferred braking line. But when they get to the apex, it becomes the outside is where you want to be. And then on the exit again, you want to be back towards the inside. Doesn't quite get that job done. And for Hansford-Taylor, Coxhead would love to find a way by.
And Chris is new to us here as well. We haven't seen him in the open wheeler here before, so that's awesome to see him really, really Oh, look at the handfuls of lock he's pouring on left and right, trying to hold onto that car. So, but he's doing a fantastic job. And you can see there in his right-hand mirror, the pink car, which I think is Bargwanna. Yes. So Bargwanna around the outside. Nice move.
Yeah, and Will Lowing's trying to steal that one away from him. Not quite done yet because Gilliam's still down the inside, gets the car pulled up, manages to hang on to it. So he has managed to hang on to that one for Andrew Gilliam. Not decided, not over as it currently stands. This is going to be an interesting battle that's going to continue.
So no further action for the incident on lap 1 with Hayden Bells in turn 1 there. So no further action, that's good. It's just that sometimes they're just racing incidents. And yeah, they do happen in turn 1.
It's generally in
Here we go.
turn 1.
This looks like I'm guessing the Chris Mitchell incident. Yep. Oh, and Ewan Baker. That was a bit awkward. I don't think anybody's really terribly at fault. It was more of a weather at fault for that one. Yeah.
No further action on that one. And I think you're right, Dave, because what happened was Chris had purchase initially, and then he got onto the slippery bit in the middle of the corner. And once you're on that, you can't do anything. It's too late.
Big step out there. Huge step out from who's that? Is that Andrew Gilliam there in the green car? But you can see they're trying to get away, and as they try and drive the car, try and put a bit of, drive it a bit harder, they're having big moments and losing time. Oh.
And the difficulty is with these conditions is that rain is worsened enough that the track is getting worse, even with 29 Formula Fords out there circulating and throwing that water around. So the difficulty is grip is changing lap to lap. The racing line is completely different than these drivers would normally work.
It really is very, 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 very winter.
Something's just happened to Brody Shepherd, we're hearing as well. This will tell the story.
Oh, there's a dive down the inside.
They trip over each other? No, not quite there.
No, not there. Keep watching. There we go. And there's another one round in the background. And we've got the Haydenveld on the outside there. And there's a bit of a touch. And around he goes on the inside. So
again, just wet weather racing, that feels like there's not too much in that. There's no malice. That's the big key. And now around the outside.
Two abreast with the sweeper.
Away. That's actually Andrew Gilliam coming back. This is actually, sorry, my apologies, that is William Lowing in the 53 machine, racing Gilliam very hard as they get down to turn 3.
That's a good bit of driving.
Gets that job.
The outside goes William Lowing. That was a really nice little bit of steering there. And and he's got very sideways out there on the curb again. Just a step a foot or two wide, and now he's right out on the edge again. On the car sideways again.
He's just gone around.
Oh, they're all over the place. And I think Gilliam's down the inside again.
Yeah, so Kobe Williams has just saved that one. He lost it. He just got on a puddle as they run down to turn number 7. Lost the rear end of the car. Seth Brown's managed to make his way through. The good thing this happened at that pointy end of the field where there's a little bit of space between the cars. Otherwise, there would have been a bunch of them would have piled in. So he's got away with one as Kobe Williams, albeit one spot lost. Yep. And this replay will tell the story. This is critical.
Yeah. Oh, a bit of puddle there.
It's just the curb. See the white line?
Oh, look at that.
Just barely touched the white line.
Oh! Opportunist move down the inside there, but really, really. And what a save. What a save that was.
Ben Miles is starting to buy his way into this battle between Gilliam and Lowing now as well.
Come on, Ben. Bit of a Ben fan I am. I love to see these guys who have no real background in motor racing, and they don't drive a real race car. They're in their bedroom or in their playroom. They've got their simulator, and they go out there and really take it to these guys that race in the real world. And I just think that's sensational. Fantastic. So come on, Ben, give it to them.
By the way, the rain as it currently stands is actually lessening just a little bit, and then we're going to hit another heavier band that's coming on through. So track times have improved. So we were in the 41s over the last couple of laps. We've improved by about 7 seconds a lap. And now we're at the back end of this band of rain as well, so it's about to get a little bit heavier yet again, which means those lap times are just going to fall off supremely. Oh, big moment! Oh. Big moment for Ben Miles. Don't know how he kept that one out of the rear bumper of Andrew Gilliam.
Yeah, This is fantastic racing, and it's great to see the skill sets that these guys have got in the wet. It's just phenomenal.
And everyone looking for a little bit of racetrack that they can use. Yeah, so Bargwanna's had an issue because he started this lap 8th, so he's dropped 2 spots to 10th on this lap. Hansford Taylor and I think Chris Coxhead have both got through on him, so there'll be a moment for Bargwanna in the middle of the lap somewhere. And Chastanoff is now starting to close in on him, and this will be the moment.
This is a huge step and off on the dirt. Hung onto it. Look, he's still on the dirt. Look at the dirt on the tyres there. He got it back on the road. So that was a huge save. I bet you need to change your shorts after that one.
Well, the big thing is the only difference between the sim and the real world in terms of that is there'd be a nice big old muddy groove out there right now.
and, you know, as I said at the start of this, is that there's no fast repairs out there. And look at how many cars we still have running. That really shows the class of the driver that in this FF Pro series.
Yeah, and more than that, in the wet conditions, in the dry conditions, you sit there and you go, yeah, you kind of expect it that they should keep it clean, but wet conditions changes that completely and utterly. And Callum Newton's, I believe, just had an issue on the most recent lap. Actually, it's the current lap on this one as it currently stands. Now, Caleb Hydes. It was Caleb Hydes who ran wide and rejoined. So for Caleb Hydes, that was out of 7th spot. Now he falls to 10th. So seems that 7th spot is a difficult one to hang on to because that's just about where Bargwanna fell out of, fell back to 10th.
And where's young Chase Saxel? There he is in 12th place. And this is a kid who's 11 years old. I mean, what a fantastic experience for him again, out there racing with these guys. He's got himself, he's almost inside the top 10. Come on, Chase, give it to them.
Better yet, 19th on the grid, so he's had to overtake 7 cars. He's doing a phenomenal job at the moment. And Chastanoff will be the next driver on the road for him.
I know his mum and dad are from through Chris Mitchell. And his mum and dad are so supportive of him, giving him the opportunity, and he's doing a fantastic job. And isn't it great to see? I love young talent. I love young talent. I love to see them in a Formula Ford. It's the best place to learn what you're going to do.
The big thing here, Dave, is have a look at the drivers that he's in and around at this point in time. You know, there's 6K drivers. Chastanoff just ahead of him, 6,000 I rating in an open wheel machines. Caleb Hyde's just ahead of him, 5,500 I rating. So this is guys on the sim with a supreme amount of experience on the sim in open wheel machines, and he's mixing it up. Oh, Coxhead's just gone around. Coxhead saves it. No idea how Chris Coxhead kept that machine going the right way. We'll lose 2 spots as it currently stands. And speaking of the 11-year-old, might be coming a 12-year-old.
Oh, and he's straight by.
Wide.
Straight by. So now he's up into 11. Come on, Chase. You can get it in the top 10, baby.
Well, better yet, right now.
Coxhead's he's obviously he's done some damage.
Yeah.
He must have done some damage there somewhere or rather. But was that Caleb Black there? Is it Caleb Black or is it his teammate? I think it's Caleb Black there on the back of Cooper Allen. And, you know, he's had a big moment there and touched the car in front by the looks of it. Now, Cooper Allen's another one who's if I remember right, a bit of an ex-real racer. There's a lot of guys out here. You know, these guys, it's really expensive to go motor racing. It really is. And you buy a $50,000, $80,000 motor car and you race it a couple of times a year and it's bloody expensive. You can do this every bloody week on every night and this is fabulous opportunity and you're doing it with real people. It is just superb and I think it's great training. If you really want to get out there in motor racing, this is where you've got to start these days.
You cannot replace laps, and it gives you the opportunity to get out there and get the laps in. You can be sitting in a race car.
Dressed for success again, Caleb. Caleb's hilarious. He always dresses so well. He's got his jacket on. You know, he's ready for the podium. Unfortunately, I'm looking at him. I don't think he's going to be there.
Well, I tell you, I want to keep half an eye on. I think Cooper Allen's just gone around. Cooper Allen has just gone around. So he's had a huge moment. And Chris Coxhead's had further dramas, by the way. Chris Coxhead, his race night will be done because he is now in the barriers on the way into the pit lane.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, well, you know. Oh, no, he's towed.
So I believe approval was actually just given for that tow. So because he was down in the pit lane, He was well and truly off the racing surface, well and truly out of the way.
Yes.
And with these wet conditions, pits...
Oh, you'll make a big move down the onside. In Chase Axel there. There's a little lesson that Chase has learned, and he won't do that one twice. I doubt whether he'll let him back through again. That's what it's about, learning. You learn these things when you've got somebody who... Ewan Baker's a really experienced racer and a really great sim racer. And, he worked that out, and he's past Chase there, and Chase has put that one in the message bank and gone, okay, I'll remember that one for future. And that's what this is about, learning your craft.
So Chris Mitchell's picked himself up to drive through, and this will be the reason why. It's on the 50 machine, and that is Sean Doyle on the run down to turn 1. Gets onto the wet stuff. A little bit of contact, that's okay.
That
Gets
was
away
okay.
with that one.
Uh-oh.
But then
Here
there's
we go.
more.
I know,
What
I've
happens?
done this one myself. Down the inside. No. Okay, he's made that one. Now, this is a pretty quick corner, this one, so it's got to be in the sweeper.
How good's the battling? How good's the spray? How good's the effects?
Yeah.
And then
Hey, how real is it?
he gets out there, gets the car hooked up through the sweeper. Flips back through 6, and then at the sweeper. Is he in a little bit too hot? No. Okay there. Okay there.
All right. Yeah, our director's lost the plot. But it was really good going board there with Chris. So you got that experience of that real spray and the real environment that they're racing in, and just how real it is. It's absolutely superb.
And we have actually managed to pick up
Our director,
what happened.
he's still looking for his 15 seconds of fame, our director is. Oh, yeah. Here
So
we
this is
go.
the run into turn number 10.
This is-
And
oh,
just misses
that's
the
a
braking
thumbs
zone.
up for rear.
Just misses the braking zone.
Yep.
Just barely.
Yep.
And by the way, update on Ewan Baker. Just gone around the outside of James Chastanoff on the run into the last corner, which means he's now into the top 10. Chase Saxel. Something's happened to somebody else as well, because Saxel's now up to 11th. So somebody else, I think, has just fallen off the road that was inside the top 10.
And Chris, Daniel Woods is just dancing away in the lead. He's 6.5 seconds out in the lead now. What a class act. As I was saying, guys, anybody out there, this kid's got talent.
And the difficulty right now is that the conditions continuously change. You've got to be working on that brake bias and making sure that you're applying the brakes. It's about smoothness. You can't just stab the brakes in wet conditions, in changeable conditions.
Ewan Baker trying a bit hard, but hung on to it. Chase Axel, they're still having a great battle. Bargwana, Sam Chapman there, a little bit loose. Oh, a bit loose in the puddle there.
Sam Chapman's had an interesting night. He's actually been to the rear end of the field and driven his way back through. So this is actually quite a good drive from Sam Chapman. Yep. And now I'll check in with James Foster, who sits 22nd on the road as well.
Here's James we get a little picture there, and you can see him working hard at the wheel. He's concentrating, absolute total concentration. Look at it. There is nothing he's going to take his eye off the wheel.
I'll tell you what, I'm a leaner in the sim too. So for those of you sitting there watching, I do
I look
lean
like I
the
should
corner.
be riding the sidecar at Isle of Man when I'm driving it.
I'm
leaning out the side.
I've got an excuse though, Dave. You grew up in car racing. I grew up on a motocross bike, so.
But no, you're wrong. I grew up on a motocross bike before.
Well, there you go.
Racing.
Okay, so
yes.
we have got excuses.
Absolutely. I used to race motocross with Brad Jones and Neil Crompton. So we used to go race motocross together back before cars were ever came onto the scene. So there you go.
There you go. That is going a long way back. By the way,
I spent a lot of time racing with Neil Crompton in bikes.
Caleb Bellack, Jordan Mazzarelli, and Jason Bargwana are having a stoush for the ages for 12th spot on the road as it currently stands. And Jason Bargwana just tipped 2 tyres into the dirt as they come around the sweeper at this point in time. But how good's this battle for second spot between Kobe Williams, William Lowing, and Seth Brown as it currently stands? Lowing's driven right up to these guys and given himself an opportunity. Yep. So whatever it is for Kobe Williams, whether or not it's the bias just isn't quite right, something's not quite right in that car at the moment. and everyone around him is generating a little bit more pace. By the way, William Lowing, fastest car on track last time by, was actually quicker than Kobe Williams, so he has got some speed.
Well, a little bit of background on William. He races Ford, and he's racing a real Formula Ford, but I believe, and I haven't seen it, but I believe he had a bit of an accident on the weekend.
There's an incident, by the way. There's an update. The 72 machine has just requested it so. And this might explain this one. Yeah, it was Callum Newton, and it was the 901 machine that just got tangled, just tripped over each other.
Yep. Oh, that's a retirement. That's not going anywhere. Yeah, so William Lowing, unfortunately, Will had a bit of an accident on the weekend, I believe, in his Formula Ford. He's had quite a bit of damage, and these guys all race on limited budgets. So there's another young guy who really has a lot of talent, can do with a bit of help. If anybody's out looking at saying, we've got so much talent in Australia. Unfortunately, it is so hard to raise money.
Seth Brown having a go at Kobe Williams, and now Will's trying to look for the opening in behind both of these guys as well as he gets to the outside down at turn number 8, and then the run back down to 9 as well. And they're just looking for any piece of road that's got a little bit more purchase on it. And how good's the racing further back in the pack? The battle for 7th through to 11th are all still relatively close together, with Hansford Taylor
there working on the back of Ewan Baker.
So Hansford Taylor just dropped out of 7th spot to 9th spot, and that is the reason why.
That's the puddles.
Managed to catch it.
There we go. Wheels. Be careful, boys.
Well, this is Lowing now and Seth Brown, so this is for a spot on the podium, and Lowing's finally managed to find himself a little bit of overlap. Remember, he was quick over the last couple of laps, so he's been starting to really surge forward. Gets to the inside at number 1. Has to tiptoe through the puddles. They do bang wheels, and they both get out the other side. Then there's a little bit of curbing. The car bounces all over the curbing. The Formula Fords, they're so low to the ground. They do bottom out just a little bit. Now he'll find some purchase, and finally gets the job done at the outside at turn number 3. Lowing moves through the field after starting on the front row and getting wasn't on the front row, but getting a poor getaway for Will Lowing. Now we're starting to find some way through the field. Gets to 3rd spot. What a
big moment.
Keeps it on the island just about, and nobody knows how.
We got a 20-second penalty there for Callum Newton in car 72.
So I believe that was the incident you could see. Yeah.
There's Ewan Baker, and I think he's got Matthew Hansford Taylor still hard on his back and really, really born to be Damo. I'm figuring the Damo has got to be Damon Woods, hasn't it?
I believe it is indeed. So, yep.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, you're not at the moment.
Woods has eclipsed the field and running away rampantly out front.
Kenny doing a great job there.
Out to 9 seconds, but you talked about the youngster. Saxfield still sits in 11th spot, just barely unable to crack his way inside the top 10. But Hansford Taylor's been ailing over the last few laps and starting to come back to these guys, so there's an opportunity still in the water.
Kobe Williams really moving under brakes. The things all over the road. They wind a lot of brake balance towards the back of the car to make it stop in the wet, but it does mean the back end quite often gets moving a bit. Makes it quite exciting.
Well, the problem is when you lock a front, you go straight on. When you lock a rear, the car swivels all over the place. So getting the brake bias wrong in the rear is not the easiest way to go. Bellac and Cooper Allen squabbling on the road as it currently stands. On the run down at turn number 3. Bellac will get to the outside, finds a little bit of purchase on the stones, but runs out of space at turn 3. Now he'll look for the switchback at 4, doesn't quite get to the inside, crosses the slippery section of road. Now through the sweeper. He's just looking for anything. You can just sense that Caleb Bellac feels like he's a touch faster. Another car going through the grass. Caleb hides. And that car looked crabbing through the grass, but I think that was just a little bit of wheel spin at the rear. I think that car is actually okay.
Yeah, it's just the grass. If you think the road's wet, imagine what the grass is like.
And soft and spongy is what do you think about it? So Caleb hides.
Had a big step out. Yep, that same thing we've seen from a number of them, and then he's got to get it going. And, oh, that was an interesting rejoin.
Yeah, and Chestnut, I think, might have just talked about it on the radio as well, so there might be a little bit of a look into that one. And Hyde
these guys are having absolute knockdown fight, isn't it? It is no holds barred, no quarter given, absolutely 30 minutes of knock 'em down battle.
And more battling going on up and down the field. By the way, Cooper Allen just had a big old send on the run down at turn number 1. Going to make contact with Caleb Bellac at turn 1. And they will go back to the other side.
They're gone.
And I have a feeling that might have been
incident point
limit. No, I reckon it was the incident point limit for Cooper Allen, and indeed it was. Cooper Allen disqualified from the session, hit 25 incident points, and his race is now done.
Wow.
Black flag, by the way, for Caleb Bellac, so he's hit the incident point limit as well. So that'll be a drive-through penalty for Bellac, which is only 17 incident points. So there'll be a few drivers. Hayden Veld, I think, has actually been through the pit lane for a drive-through penalty.
We're riding on board with young Chase Axel here. So 11, 12 years old. I can't remember the number. It's 11 or 12, one of the two. I think it's 11. Or he may be 10 at the moment. But here we are on board. And this is just fantastic. Oh, look at the car moving under brakes. He's a little wide, but there's grip out there. So he's got to run out of the corner. Here he's working on... Is that Chestnut? He's working on Chestnut. Yep. Chestnut's a 6,500 iRating. This is a really, really senior racer in front of him that he's working on him and learning from riding around on the back wheel. Fantastic to see. It was really good. I love this going on board. What have we got left to run? We've got about 4 minutes left to run here, Scott.
Yeah, we are running out of time and running out of time at a rate of knots as well. So since those drivers have set their 34.2, which is fastest lap of the race for Damon Woods, they've fallen off about half a second. So I reckon the track's just worsened off a little bit, although the fuel loads come out of the cars. So whilst
I'm really impressed with the young Chase here. He's done a fantastic job tonight.
Touch quicker. Caleb Hydes has managed to overtake a few more cars, getting himself back ahead. Ewan Baker's just a big old moment. I wonder, Ewan Baker might have just been out of fuel, and Matthew Hansford-Taylor's just made contact with him. So this will be Chase Saxill jumps through into the top 10. So now we'll sit 10th on the road and not quite done yet, as he's going to have a go at Chastanuff. And by the way, the battle for the podium's not over as well. So this will tell the moment for Hansford-Taylor. And the problem was Ewan Baker had a check-up ahead of him. So there's something wrong for Ewan Baker. I wonder whether or not Ewan Baker's had a moment of something, gotten himself a slowdown penalty and not cleared it in time.
Yep.
Because he was massively off the pace. No, he had a moment. He had a moment.
He had a big moment, yeah.
Ewan Baker's touched the white line on the entry of the sweeper, and he's saved his car. So this is the story.
Oh, look at that. Look at that for a save.
Although for the drift racing fans, that's just a normal entry to a corner.
And then you really can't avoid that. And once you get off the throttle, you lose the back end of the car.
And the problem is, once you're committed to that speed, you're just committed. You can't slow. So, update for Caleb Bellac receives a 10-second post-race penalty as well for his efforts. So from 21st as he sits after serving the drive-through penalty.
That's Will Lowen. Will Lowen, big slide through the middle of the sweeper. Cars all over the road. It's just fantastic to see them sliding them around like this, because it just shows you how good the car model is if you can drive them like this.
By the way, the rain has gotten worse, so lap times have all dropped off for everyone. So Damon Woods is having some sort of an issue.
It's disappeared.
Runs very, very wide. Was having wheel issues, I think, but I think he's back in an okay. So at this stage, he still stands in the circuit. So there will be white flag. There'll be one more lap to go when they get to the final corner here at this point in time. And Chastanoff had a great run thus far, sat inside the top 10. And that means that the 11-year-old, potentially 12-year-old of Chase Saxill, now 9th on the road.
Well, I'm going to say to you, Scott, whatever age he was when he started, he's a lot older when he finishes, because he's learned so much tonight.
For For the meantime, though, Damon Woods is on the run to home. One more circuit left. There is less than 3 kilometres left in his racing journey. There's probably only about 2.5 kilometres. In fact, there's probably about 2 as it currently stands on the run to home. And he is having a lot of trouble with the rear end of that car and keeping it compliant. Something else just happens to James Foster right here as well. Has to check up the car cutting his way through. And then there's a tag.
That was a tag. And, big save.
So for James Foster, manages to settle it down on an end. In the meantime, though, for Damon Woods, defending champion from last season, has 3 corners left to go. He has an 8-second margin, but he is in the lead at the moment. And for William Lowing, drove it hard, gave it a good shot, harassed the rear bumper of Kobe Williams, will manage to finish on the podium. Seth Brown sits in 4th. Ben Miles sits in 6th, but just had a huge moment. And this car's off on the final lap of the race. Dylan Gray is one of them, and Brody Shepherd is the other one. Oh, by the way, Jason Bargwanna just drops outside the top 10. Jason Bargwanna's off the road, and now he's just rejoined as well. So now he'll drop down to 12th spot, as it currently says. He's now fighting with Caleb Dawson.
So there's the win.
By the way, Damon Woods is going to cross the start-finish line.
Brilliant drive.
And get the job done.
Drive from Kobe Williams there in second. 2 class acts, and those guys are 2 real Formula Ford races, and it shows you what you learn. And it shows you how accurate this bloody iRacing model is.
Well, Bargwanna cut his way through the field. Jordan Mazzaroli at the moment, by the way, is going to finish on the last lap of this one inside the top 10.
Inside.
And the track conditions are worsening. I can tell you, the rain is starting to really come down. That's why you're seeing all these mistakes in the last couple laps of the race. Mendez dives it to the inside, gets the job done on Caleb Dawson on the final lap of the race.
Fantastic sort of last corner, real dive. And class Caleb Dawson, gave him honest room and lived to see the day out.
Well, they're not done at the tail end of the field, by the way, because they're still trundling round as it currently stands. Damon Woods will win the race, but for the drivers that are still coming out of that final corner, Brody Shepherd's among them, has had an incident with someone on the final lap, was Dylan Gray. Caleb Bellack will cut back through, it looks like, for about 18th spot or so. Hayden Veld.
Yeah, it's a troublesome day for Caleb. Unfortunately, he's had a tough night tonight. We've got another replay.
This is the incident between Dylan Gray and Brody Shepherd on the final lap of the race.
Yep. Not too bad. It's just wet weather racing.
And I don't think it can be understated as well that track conditions got worse as that session. In the middle, it was cleaned up a little bit, but it kept getting worse thereafter. And that changes things. Every single lap you're searching for the grip, you're searching for what available. Well, what was available for Damon Woods was pole position converted to a race win. Kobe Williams will jump home in behind him into 2nd place. William Lowing will round out our podium, sits 3rd. Seth Brown in 4th, and Andrew Gilliam in 5th spot. Ben Miles, the 2 Vermilion drivers, 5th and 6th on the road. Ewan Baker drove through the field, gets back to 7th. Caleb Hyde home in 8th. Chase Saxill, you'll be happy about this one. Dave Roberts home in 9th. Jordan Mazzaroli ran the entire race, bar the last lap outside the top 10, gets it done on the final lap of the race. 21st to 10th for him, great drive. Jason Bargwanna comes home in 11th. And... Ben Bargwanna, my apologies, home in 11th. Nico Mendez from Caleb Dawson. James Chastanoff, issues on the final lap of the race as well. Drops to 14th. Chris Mitchell, home in 15th. Match for you, hands for Taylor. Issues late on as well. Sam Chapman had a tough night at the office. Contact with a few different drivers. Not the best night out, and he'll be happy with that one. Steph Burchart, home in 18th. Brody Shepherd and Caleb Bellack, 19th and 20th. And finally, the final 9 drivers home and the safety car that got out there at no stage for a splash around in the puddles. Hayden Veld from Dylan Burst, James Foster, Sean Doyle, Dyson Freeman, Alex Beswick. Then we get into the retirements. Cooper Allen, 4 laps down. Callum Newton, 8 laps down. And Chris Cox said after his issues, 12 laps down.
Well, that's a pretty exciting opening round. Don't you think, Scott? The weather played part.
That was absolutely brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
It was a tough night. There were some amazing saves out there, some superb passes, and some just really, really clever driving.
Well, we'll get an opportunity to chat to a few of these guys as it currently stands because they're all standing by on the podium. We will start from the top end of the town. It's the driver who is your defending champion. It's the driver who's looking for a little bit of budget to go Formula Ford racing once again in 2024. Damon Woods, that was a bit of a play in the puddles, mate. Did you have the Wellingtons on?
Yeah, it was a bit soggy out there, but no, it was good fun. Yeah, glad to keep it on the road and bring home a W.
Mate, difficult session. Normally, from as far as I'm aware of, you go and you hang out with the Eclipse SimSport boys. Was there a little bit of banter going on back and forth between a few of you guys tonight?
There's a bit of complaining going on from the boys, but from my part, it was pretty quiet. I just kept my head down and did my thing.
Mate, they say it's good weather for ducks. So have you grown a few feathers, grown a few wings to get around in this stuff?
Yeah, might have grown some spontaneously during the race. So yeah, it was that. Yeah, obviously, was able to find the grip out there and, pulled a pretty good gap.
Mate, does it change things a little bit being a defending champion, these sorts of things? Does it change your mindset a little bit? I know you've got supreme pace and you're always thinking about that, but there's going to come a race at some point in the season where you go, yeah, I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball here. How do I respond? How do you think as a driver during those sorts of situations?
To be honest, I'm not really thinking about the defending champion thing. I'm just, here to drive and do as well as I can. So yeah, it's good to start the season off strongly.
Mate, finally, the floor is all yours to thank all the people that make it possible for you and the boys.
It's got to thank my real life sponsors, Apex Steel and Aviation Component Services. So big thanks to them. Also Door Esports for all their support as well. So VRS, Tailored Rig, Recaro Seats, Arima Sportswear and SX Group. So yeah, cheers boys.
Thank you very much for your time, Damon. Pleasure to see you, and I'm sure we'll see you out on track again next week, brother.
Yes, you will.
Take one step further forward in terms of the podium, and Kobe Williams, mate, that thing looked out of control a whole number of times. Good old puddles, they're good for a lack of grip, are they not?
Yeah, no, that was actually really, really fun. I enjoyed that heaps. Just didn't do a lot of practice because I've been busy with the real world racing, so just went out there, just had a crack and was able to come away with second, so it was good.
Talk to us about the challenging conditions throughout that race, because it started off quite wet. As the cars got out there, cleared a little bit of that water off, it did come good. It was about the middle of the session those fastest laps got chalked up. Particularly that last 5 minutes, that rain started to come back down again and that grip went away.
Yeah, it was definitely certainly wet at the start. It made it just real hard with the braking, just hitting puddles and stuff, so it's really easy to lock up. But then that sort of middle phase of the race, like you said, it was started to dry up and able to push the car quite a lot more. So yeah, it was quite challenging, but rewarding at the end.
In terms of things, how do you judge those changeable conditions? Because, I mean, you're just testing the grip each and every lap. You've got to be brave because you got harassed at stages throughout that race by William Lowing, by Seth Brown, by a few of the guys that were in around you. You actually had pace on Damon Woods to start that race off, but you got to measure it as well because, well, it looks good whilst you're out in front, but all of a sudden you go off the island and there was a spin at one point for you as well.
Yeah, there was. I felt like I was quite comfortable following Damon. It was good to be able to stay with him until I made that mistake going into turn 7, I think it was. So the pace is there, just have to keep it on the track and go again next week.
Mate, in terms of things, do you feel a little bit better in the drier conditions, or is the wet something you're a lot more comfortable with?
Oh, I enjoyed the wet. I loved the car moving around quite a lot, so it's something I do enjoy, but the racing is also really, really good in the dry, so just a bit of fun either way.
Mate, and finally, the floor's all yours to thank the sponsors that make it possible for you, brother.
I'd just like to thank my real world sponsors, ACM Finance, Cichlids, and all my mates on the sim that make it, all the setups and stuff. So big thanks to them, and hopefully we go get well again next week.
Mate, congratulations. That looked like a whole bunch of fun. I'll let you go and splash around in a few puddles, eh?
Cheers, thank you.
And finally, we're going to chat to the driver that finishes in third place here tonight, William Lowing in the 53 machine. William, that one, there was spray everywhere. I'm sure you went through a whole bunch of tear-offs trying to keep that thing nice and clean. Difficult night, searching for the grip each and every lap. That was a real challenge.
Yeah, it was a good race. Messed up quality a bit. Started out of 6th, but made my way through, and yeah, good fun racing.
Mate, in terms of things, you know, obviously that intermediate tyre that's always on, obviously no pit stops, don't have to jump into the pits, don't have to change tyres, but sometimes those really, really wet conditions, particularly that first lap, that looked like it was on ice for just about everyone. Very, very tricky, particularly like you said, messed up qualifying. A little bit further down the order, you got to fight and contend with a bunch of cars.
Yeah, the visibility is hard, and you're just trying to keep it on the track and search for the grip on the first lap. But yeah, it's good fun.
Mate, in terms of this championship, next time out, we're going to be heading to the German track Oschersleben as well. Any practice, any comfort level over there? Because I know obviously official schedules go there quite regularly. Turn a few laps, I'm assuming?
Actually, no, I haven't done anything there, so I got to learn that in the next week. But sure, it'll be fun.
Mate, and finally, the floor is all yours to thank the sponsors that make it possible for you.
Firstly, I'd like to thank FRG putting on this good event, Formula Ford Australia, of course, and everyone who makes it happen.
Mate, congratulations, and thank you very much for your time. That was incredible to watch out there.
Thank you.
Well, Dave, that is going to wrap it up here from a very cold, a very wet, and a very fun race from Winton Motor Raceway. Like I said, next time out, we are jumping on a plane and travelling all the way over to Germany. Free content makes up about half the racing here in terms of the Formula Ford Australia E-Series for 2024. What that means is, for the guys watching along at home, all you're going to have an iRacing subscription and the Formula Ford. You can go racing in this car next week, qualifying this weekend.
And even the Formula Ford is free.
Yep, so get
You
yourself
don't
a
have to
note.
pay for the tracks are free, the car is free, and all you need to do is be free on Monday night as well.
And Sunday night, just to make sure you qualify for the series.
Yeah.
The other thing, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to jump in and get involved, Sunday night is the qualifying. You saw the sport class earlier on. They actually had the better conditions, set the faster lap times, got down into the low 28s. Will you be joining us next week from Oschersleben? If you want to jump in and get qualifying, Dave, where do the drivers have to go to be a part of this series?
All they need to do is look up FRG on Facebook, and through that you'll get to Discord. Look, just search FRG on Facebook. You'll see the posts about the series. Any of those have the link to the Discord. Go onto the Discord, join the Discord, and then get involved on iRacing. You join the league, and away you go. And it sounds a lot. It's actually really simple. You just need to go there. Once you're there, if you don't know what you do, put your hand up. Somebody will help you. But don't sit back there and just watch. Get involved. It's really, really, really is fun.
And the racing in the Formula Fords is even better. For the sport guys, fixed setup. Don't have to go building. Don't have to get anything technical. All you got to do is have a steering wheel, a couple of pedals. In fact, you can go racing on a mouse and keyboard, by the way, if a steering wheel is not available.
Please don't. Please don't.
Pick yourself up an iRacing subscription. Come racing with us for the Formula Racing Group series for Formula Ford Australia E-Series. I do want to say a big old shout out to all the sponsors that have gotten on board and been a part of this series. To Yokohama, to Dick Johnson Racing, the Norwell Motorplex, Racer Industries, Castrol, Ferodo Racing. This is your Formula Ford Australia series. On behalf of myself, on behalf of Dave Roberts, on behalf of everyone associated with the Formula Racing Group, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back next week from Oschersleben for round number 2 of the Formula Ford Australia E-Series.